Chapter 40 to 41, Hockey. The evening dawned. An endless number of shining stars filled the sky above Little Garden. Seeing the bright full moon was enchanting. 3 people formed a circle around a clear spot in the forest. In front of the campfire, each person took a seat. Laughter sounded all around. To the cheers of the spectators, a number of dinosaurs were roasted, and at that very moment, they were devoured by them. "And you've been fighting each other for over 50 years? And can't remember why?" Pride asked after they had talked about so many things. In the canon, it has been 100 years. Now it's a little over 50 years. And they've already forgotten? Do giants get dementia at an early age? After the little escapade between Pride and the 2 giants, it didn't take long for them to become friends. The 2 giants were quite talkative and very active in other ways as well. Pride wasn't sure if they were always so easy to befriend, or if 50 years of living here was a reason for that. It was then that Dory and Broggy told him about their lives. As mentioned before, they have been fighting each other for decades. But only when the volcano erupts on the island. That is when they start to fight. This is an absurd thing. On second thought, it is. Beasts such as Monkey D. Garp, Gol D. Roger, and Rox D. Xebec have reached or will reach unimaginable levels of strength, with a lifespan that is not worth mentioning. Are giants just stupid? Or have I misunderstood something? These 2, Dory and Broggy, are just a little over 100 years old. At their current age, they haven't even reached their maximum life expectancy. In comparison, they are pitifully weak. Dory, Broggy, do you know what hockey is? What is that? Is that something to eat, Pride? The 2 giants asked simultaneously. Well, that explains a lot, I guess, he thought, looking back at the giants with a furrowed brow. No one taught them what hockey means and how important it is. They came to this island at an early age to be victorious, and they have never left the island. Why none of them could learn hockey? I think it is because all they want to do is to triumph over the other person, and they are not interested in killing or mortally wounding each other. That's why they never got into the dicey situation of having to learn hockey in order to protect themselves, because they both knew that their lives were safe. Burp. Hockey is very important. I will tell you more about it tomorrow. Dory was now very curious. Can't you say that now? Or at least summarize it?
Yawn.
No, I'll tell you tomorrow. I'm very tired. I just want to sleep, Pride replied, lying down and closing his eyes. The next morning was dawning. The blazing sun was on the rise. From a bird's eye perspective, one would see 2 huge beings. They were sound asleep, one to the right, the other to the left. In between the 2 was Pride. He was too tired to prepare his bedsheets. This meant that he was up quite early, unlike the other 2. Damn it. Had I known, I would have prepared something. I haven't slept this badly in a long time. When he noticed that the 2 giants were still asleep, he had breakfast in mind. So he had a quick trip into the interior of the forest and killed some primeval beasts. A few hours have passed since then, and an intense smell has spread.
Sniff. Sniff.
The 2 giants smelled the food, which seemed to them to be a heavenly meal, and simply got roused from their sleeping. The ground shook as they rose to their feet.
Yawn.
Good morning, Pride. A broad smile was displayed. Looks like you prepared something to eat, Hai-che. Dory laughed aloud. As his laughter echoed through the room, Broggy also burst into laughter. H-H-H-A. Thanks, Pride. I was hungry as hell already. All 3 of them were sitting around the campfire and eating their food.
Munch.
You were going to tell us about this hockey, Broggy said, his mouth half full. Indeed, indeed. We are listening. Dory added.
Gulp.
Pride swallowed a large piece of meat in its entirety. Listen carefully to what I am saying. I am not going to repeat myself a second time. When Pride looked at them and saw that they were giving him their full attention, he continued to speak. Hockey is the ability to increase the strength and capabilities of one's own body through willpower. There are 3 types of hockey: observations hockey, armament hockey, and conqueror-s hockey. The first 2 of them can be learned, and the third one you can only be born with. The 2 giants listened intently. The black coating I used against you yesterday is called armament hockey. With it, I am able to increase both my defense and my attack power by a huge amount, Pride added. Broggy's voice rang out in reply. Is that why your punch was so strong and why it left such a mark? Exactly. Then Pride spoke in detail about all types of hockey, what their strengths are, and what they can develop into, and that it is used by every strong person. However, Pride wasn't quite sure if the 2 giants really understood all of it. After all, no giant so far was known to be able to use hockey. There could be only 2 reasons for that. Either it's harder for giants to learn hockey because of their physical advantages, or they are so mentally limited that they can't really understand it. Pride tends to assume the first possibility, as most beings learn to use hockey intuitively when they are in a life-threatening situation. The interest of the 2 giants was certainly piqued. If they can be even stronger, why not give it a try? Pride. We are proud warriors of Elbaf. We respect strength and want to be respected as the strong. Dory looked at Broggy. Please don't misunderstand me. But the fact that you, a puny human, could easily defeat us, and that we seem weak in your eyes, we definitely want to learn hockey. So would you mind teaching us?
Boom.
With a clenched fist, Broggy hit the ground. Yeah, that's right. We want to get stronger. Please teach us that. We don't want to sully our title. If Big Mom could learn hockey with her height, why can't they? It may take them longer to learn because they don't have her talent, but it will be worth it. I'm going off the radar for a few years anyway. I need to build up my strength. I could do it with both of the giants here. And when they can use hockey, they will be even stronger than they are now. Then they will be a great help to me as training partners when it comes to developing my skills. All right then. In a few hours, we'll start training in hockey. Haha. Hell yeah! Shouted Broggy as he grabbed Pride by the hand and tried to pick him up. Pride's voice rang out midair. I am advising you to put me down. Okie, sorry. Ha. The next few hours passed. Pride faced the two giants. He looked at them more closely. Then he fell into a trance-like state. Dory and Broggy. These two aren't exactly the brightest. Telling them in detail how hockey works won't help. They'll need to learn it the hard way. Sensing. Adapting to the circumstances. And since they've already been blessed with a tremendous amount of physical strength, they'll probably only need a single trigger to learn both types of hockey. The best way to learn hockey is to fight against a hockey user. He looks from one giant to another. For the armament hockey, we will fight each other every day. That way, we will get results faster. And the training for observations hockey will follow after that. Both giants smiled broadly. We're ready, Pride, Dory said. Broggy automatically rose with him. That's right. We can start. All three have moved to a more distant location, so as not to destroy their resting place in any way. Swash. Pride stretched out his right arm. This is the basic level of armament hockey. It is not to be underestimated, even though it is invisible. On the one hand, it strengthens your attack and defense exponentially. On the other hand, you can also hit Logia users with it. A/N. I am aware of the fact that armament hockey is generally not visible. I use the word invisible and the black coating as an example. It makes it easier to immerse yourself in these situations. Logia? What does that mean? Asked Broggy, scratching his head sheepishly with his index finger. I wish I hadn't brought this up. I suppose you know about the existence of devil fruits? Yes, we know they exist, replied Dory. At least that. The Logia is one of the 3 types of the devil fruit. Most people also refer to it as the strongest type. Undash. Dory interrupted him there. What's the difference? Calm down, Pride. I was just about there. The main difference is that Logia allows the user to transform into the specific fruit in a complete way. The two giants had slightly confused looks on their faces. Sigh. Assuming you eat the Maramara no Mi, you can turn into fire completely. Even physical attacks would have no effect on you. The two of them looked wide-eyed. That sounds mighty. Aren't they as good as invincible then? Pride grinned. They are not as stupid as I thought. Almost. At least on the 4 seas or on Paradise you're on top. But all that changes as soon as you get to the new world. There, almost everyone can use hockey, because Logia users are only vulnerable when they are up against it. Now, do you understand the importance of hockey? They were both determined to learn hockey after that. They realized how important it was. Broggy even became somewhat annoyed. He imagined an encounter with a Logia user. He, a proud warrior of Elbaf, far ahead of him in all physical aspects, should be led around by him, just because he couldn't be hit. Arg! Let's get this started, Pride. He yelled out. All right then. Attack me with whatever you have. I will only use the invisible armament hockey. It will not be painless, though. Pride grinned. Then the two giants descended on him. One from the left, the other from the right. But their attacks were not successful. They were mercilessly crushed.
Boom.
One by one, they flew away. Even though it was only the lowest level of armament hockey, the increase in strength could not be taken lightly. It was a fight without end for hours. One could not really call it a fight. The two giants were more like sandbags to Pride. Good thing they're tough. Anyone else would have been unconscious for sure after such a long time. H. Broggy's breath was literally on hold. Sure that'll help? Powerless, sinking to the ground, he repeated with pauses in between. Pride's brow furrowed in slight annoyance. Do you think I'm lying? You two are impatient. In a few months, you'll be able to feel the success. Then he let out a sigh. Go and rest. After that, we will continue. While the two giants rested, Pride began to prepare the meal. Sometime later, Come. The meal is ready. All three sat around the campfire as usual and enjoyed the meat. The two giants were a little tired and at the end of their strength. They ate even more today. The way they pushed themselves to their limits today and got beaten one way or another is something that they've never experienced in their fights. Pride finished his meal. He then stood up. You may come in 10 minutes. Then we can continue, he said, walking to the training ground. When the two giants finished, they went to Pride. "What's that?" asked Dory in surprise. Pride was holding a long piece of wood. "With this, we are going to practice the other kind of hockey, the observations hockey." Then he threw a very long piece of cloth at Dory. "Here, blindfold your eyes with this." "Hey, isn't that from my cape?" Pride smiled. No, you're wrong. Now listen to me carefully. After your eyes are blindfolded, I will do the attack without any resistance on your part. The goal is for you to concentrate on the strike until you can literally feel it coming. Got it? Both nodded. And yes, it does help. Before the question arises again, Pride added, after all the formalities had been taken care of, they were on their way. The training began. Dory was the first to stand in the middle of the area blindfolded. Pride hovered with a long, thin branch at the giant's eye level. It won't be easy, but you have to stay focused. Here we go. With that, he wrapped the branch in translucent armament hockey and struck. A few hours passed in this way, too. The two giants took turns every half hour. They failed on the first day. They felt nothing. They predicted nothing. The night was falling. Huge clouds partially obscured the view of the stars. And yet it was possible to catch a glimpse of the beautiful crescent moon. In general, the giants were creatures that could devour a great deal of food. This was enhanced by their hard training. At the campsite, dinosaurs were barbecued again. "When do you think we'll feel anything?" asked Broggy, covered in bumps and blood. Dory, also injured, began to focus on Pride as well. He wanted to hear how Pride would respond. Sigh. This can take months to complete. Almost everyone who learned hockey had to go through this process. You are no exception. So the evening was over and they went to sleep.